two empires. One shared obsession, mastering logistics. One built tunnels beneath the world's most heavily guarded border. The other, a network of distribution centers promising to deliver anything within hours. Joaquin El Chapo Guzmán and Jeff Bezos never met, but they solved the same problem: how to move products from point A to point B faster than anyone else with nothing stopping them. One ended up in a cell, the other building a trillion-dollar empire. Today we analyze their strategies without glorifying, simply extracting lessons. Because in business, logistics isn't a detail, it's everything. Section 2, Kant and Origins. El Chapo, from the mountains of Sinaloa to invisible infrastructure. Joaquin Guzmán Loera was born in 1957 in La Tuna, Badiraguato, Sinaloa. A remote village without basic services, where legal opportunities were practically non-existent. As a teenager, he entered the illicit business under the guidance of established figures in the region. It wasn't by chance. Sinaloa was already a historic corridor. By the 80s, Guzmán identified a structural problem. Traditional routes were predictable. Roads, ports, small plains. Everything was under increasing surveillance. Losses from seizures reached 30 or 40% in some operations. It was unsustainable. Then came the vision. What if the path didn't exist on the map? The first tunnels were rudimentary, but Guzmán understood something key. Whoever controls the infrastructure controls the market. While others fought for territories above ground, he built underground highways. He invested in engineers, in technology, in constant innovation. His logistics network became his most powerful competitive advantage. Bezos, from garage to the promise of delivering everything. Jeffrey Preston Bezos founded Amazon in 1994 from a garage in Seattle. The initial idea was simple: sell books over the internet. But from day one, Bezos wasn't thinking about books. He was thinking about infrastructure. The problem he faced was different but equally complex: how to compete against established chains with thousands of physical stores. Barnes and Noble dominated. Borders dominated. Amazon was a startup without its own inventory, depending on distributors. Bezos' answer was radical: build the most efficient logistics infrastructure on the planet. In 1997, Amazon opened its first distribution center in Seattle. It wasn't enough. By 1998, it had 5. By 2000, it operated centers in multiple states. The investment was brutal. While competitors showed quarterly profits, Bezos reinvested every penny into logistics. Wall Street criticized him. Analysts predicted bankruptcy. But Bezos saw what others didn't. Whoever delivers faster wins. He launched Amazon Prime in 2005, 2-day shipping for an annual subscription. It seemed impossible. It required a network of warehouses, predictive algorithms, agreements with carriers, cutting-edge technology. He built it anyway, the connection point. Both faced the same fundamental challenge: deliver what was promised, overcoming obstacles that seemed insurmountable. One dug underground, the other built above it. But both understood that logistics isn't supported. It's the business itself. Section 3. I en infrastructuur. T en els VS distribution centers. El Chapo's tunnels. Engineering beneath the border. The first major tunnel discovered in 1990 measured over 400 meters in length. It connected Agua Prieta, Sonora, with Douglas, Arizona. It had lighting, ventilation, and rails for transport cars. It wasn't an improvised excavation. It was engineering. By 2011, authorities discovered the so-called Super Tunnel from Tijuana to San Diego. 600 meters in length, 20 meters deep. Complete electrical system. Hydraulic rails. It cost approximately $1 million to build. It took over a year. The tunnels weren't exceptions. They were part of a system. Between 1990 and 2016, more than 200 tunnels were discovered along the border. Each one represented months of clandestine work, teams of specialized engineers, and massive investment. The technology was sophisticated: pumping systems to prevent flooding, motion sensors, internal communication. Some tunnels included hydraulic stairs and remotely activated hidden doors. The objective was clear: move tons without being detected. The total investment in this invisible infrastructure is estimated at tens of millions of dollars. But the return justified every penny. A single successful shipment could recover the entire construction cost. Amazon Centers, the visible network no one can replicate. In 2023, Amazon operated over 400 distribution centers globally. In the United States alone, more than 250. Each one the size of 20 American football fields. The accumulated investment exceeds $150 billion. Inside these centers, the technology is overwhelming. More than 500,000 Kiva robots move simultaneously, transporting complete shelves toward stationary workers. Artificial intelligence algorithms predict demand and strategically position products. The objective: reduce every second of the process. An Amazon distribution center can process up to 1 million items daily. During events like Prime Day, that figure multiplies. The synchronization is millimetric. From the moment you click until the product leaves in a truck, less than 15 minutes can pass. Amazon also built aerial infrastructure, over 100 of its own planes operating from dedicated cargo centers. Ground infrastructure, thousands of trucks and last-mile vans. Everything connected by proprietary software that optimizes each route in real time. The scale is incomparable. While El Chapo built underground to evade, Amazon built above ground to dominate. Two infrastructures, one lesson. Both understood something fundamental. Infrastructure is power. One invested millions in the invisible. The other, billions in the omnipresent. But both knew, whoever controls how things move, controls the market. Section 4, Operation Ale Straight Dick. Secrecy vs. transparency. El Chapo, operating in the shadows. El Chapo's operation was built on an absolute principle: total invisibility. Every movement had to occur without leaving a trace. Each person in the chain knew only their link. Strict compartmentalization. The network operated through cellular structures. One group handled transportation, another distribution, another finances. If one cell fell, the rest continued functioning. This organizational architecture wasn't improvised. It was a strategic design to survive under constant pressure. The methods were diverse: tunnels, semi-submersible submarines, clandestine planes, trucks with hidden compartments. Redundancy was fundamental. If one route was compromised, 5 others remained active. Continuous adaptability in the face of authority interventions. The system required massive and systematic bribes. Police, military, customs officials. Judicial documents reveal monthly payments that reached millions of dollars. It wasn't occasional corruption. It was essential operational infrastructure. But this model had invisible costs: constant paranoia, frequent betrayals, violence as a control tool. Loyalty was bought or imposed. There was no third option, and each member of the organization knew that a mistake didn't mean termination. It meant elimination. Absolute secrecy allowed operations for decades, but it also generated vulnerabilities: informants, recordings, testimonies. The system that protected eventually betrayed. Bezos, selective transparency. Amazon operates under a seemingly opposite philosophy, but similar in essence: show the what, hide the how. For the customer, total transparency. Real-time tracking from when the product leaves the center until it arrives at the door. Constant notifications, complete visibility of the process. This transparency generates trust, reduces anxiety, and builds customer loyalty. But internally, Amazon is a fortress of trade secrets. The algorithms that predict demand are proprietary. The route optimization systems, classified. The internal layout of distribution centers, confidential. Employees sign exhaustive non-disclosure agreements. The operational strategy is based on obsessive optimization. Every movement within a center is timed. Workers have productivity goals measured to the second. Artificial intelligence systems adjust processes in real time based on millions of data points. Amazon also built a network of logistics partners: UPS, USPS, regional carriers. But simultaneously, it developed its own fleet to reduce dependencies. Vertical control where strategic, alliances where efficient. The internal culture is one of radical continuous improvement. Bezos coined the term day one. Always operate as if it were the first day, with startup urgency. This mentality drives constant innovation but also generates high turnover and criticism about working conditions. 2 strategies, 1 objective. El Chapo hid everything to survive. Amazon shows the result but protects the process. Both understood. Strategic secrecy is competitive advantage, but only one built a replicable and sustainable model. Section 5. The obsession with speed and precision. El Chapo, millimetric synchronization under extreme pressure. In the illicit business, speed isn't a competitive advantage. It's survival. Every minute of exposure exponentially increases the risk of detection. That's why El Chapo's operations were executed with military precision. Shipments through tunnels were timed to the minute. Teams on both sides of the border synchronized movements through encrypted communications. A complete shipment could cross in less than 2 hours. Speed that minimized intervention windows. Judicial documents reveal operations where multiple tunnels operated simultaneously at different border points. Geographic and temporal diversification. If authorities concentrated resources in one sector, 5 others remained active. Coordination between cities separated by hundreds of kilometers. Precision was equally critical. An error in timing, coordination, or location could mean total loss. Seizures, arrests, elimination of compromised personnel. There was no margin for improvisation. Each operation was planned with exhaustive detail. Testimonies from collaborators describe prior rehearsals, predefined alternative routes, emergency protocols. The organization operated like an efficient corporation, but under restrictions that no legal company faces. This obsession with speed and precision kept the operation active for more than 2 decades. But it also required absolute control over every variable. And human variables are unpredictable. Bezos, the promise that transformed global expectations. When Amazon launched Prime in 2005, it promised 2-day shipping. The industry considered the promise impossible to maintain at scale. Bezos delivered it anyway. To achieve this, Amazon invested billions in logistics infrastructure, distribution centers strategically positioned near metropolitan areas, predictive algorithms that anticipate purchases and position inventory before the customer orders, predictive logistics, sending products toward regional centers based on purchase probabilities. The obsession with reducing times continued. 2 days became 1, then hours for selected metropolitan areas. Amazon tested deliveries with drones, autonomous vehicles, and urban lockers. Each innovation sought to eliminate 1 additional minute from the process. Internally, every second literally counts. Workers in distribution centers have productivity metrics measured in seconds per item processed. Algorithms optimize delivery routes considering real-time traffic, weather, historical patterns. During the 2020 pandemic, when global demand exploded, Amazon processed more than 5 billion packages that year in the United States alone. The infrastructure designed for speed demonstrated capacity to scale under extreme pressure. Precision is also absolute. Amazon tracks each package at every point of the journey. Customers receive constant updates. The error rate in deliveries is less than 1%. Speed a strategic weapon. Both turned speed into an insurmountable differentiator. One used it to evade, the other to dominate. But both understood, in logistics, every second is money, power, or freedom. Section 6. The human factor. Loyalty, fear, and culture. El Chapo, loyalty bought, imposed, or eliminated. An illicit organization cannot resort to employment contracts or legal systems to guarantee compliance. Loyalty is built through 3 mechanisms: economic reward, family ties, or fear of lethal consequences. El Chapo paid salaries superior to any legal alternative available in the regions where he operated. A tunnel operator could earn in weeks what an average worker earned in years. Economic reward ensured availability of qualified personnel. But money didn't guarantee permanent silence. That's why the operational structure was cellular. Each person knew only their specific function. Tunnel operators didn't know distribution routes. Distributors didn't know suppliers. Strict compartmentalization limited damage from betrayals. Even so, betrayals occurred. Informants, collaborators with authorities, captured members who negotiated testimonies. The response was consistent: violent elimination as a deterrent message. It wasn't gratuitous cruelty. It was risk management through calculated terror. This structure generated operational but not sustainable loyalty. Turnover was extremely high. Arrests, deaths, desertions, constant recruitment, training, replacement was required. The organization functioned, but on human quicksand. Judicial testimonies reveal an atmosphere of constant paranoia. Communications monitored internally. Permanent suspicions. No one trusted anyone completely. This culture allowed operations under pressure, but eroded internal cohesion in the long term. Bezos. Extreme demands and high turnover. Amazon operates under formalized cultural principles, the 14 leadership principles. Customer obsession, frugality, long-term thinking, high standards. These principles aren't suggestions, they're formal performance evaluations. The internal culture is one of extreme demands. Bezos built an organization that systematically rejects mediocrity, meetings without PowerPoint presentations. 6-page narrative documents read in silence before each meeting. Decisions based on data, not opinions. For corporate employees, Amazon offers competitive compensation, high salaries, company stock, extensive benefits. Loyalty is built through opportunity for growth and significant financial reward. But in distribution centers, the reality is different. Journalistic investigations reveal intense working conditions, aggressive productivity goals, constant algorithmic supervision, timed breaks. Annual turnover in these centers exceeds 150% in some cases. Amazon doesn't hide the demands. It presents them as meritocracy. Those who perform advance. Those who don't leave. This culture generates operational efficiency, but also public criticism about working conditions and unionization. Loyalty at Amazon isn't based on fear of physical violence. It's based on economic opportunity and cultural performance pressure. Different mechanism, similar result. Teams that execute under constant pressure. 2 cultures, 1 result. Both built efficient human machines through radically different mechanisms. One used fear, the other ambition. But both understood. Perfect logistics requires people willing to execute without failure. Section 7, adaptability and survival. El Chapo, constant reinvention under siege. Joaquin Guzmán, captured for the first time in 1993 in Guatemala. He escaped from prison in 2001 hidden in a laundry cart. He was recaptured in 2014. He escaped again in 2015 through a 1.5-kilometer tunnel dug directly to his cell. He was definitively captured in 2016. Each capture forced complete operational reinvention. When he was imprisoned, lieutenants maintained operations but with evident vulnerabilities. When he escaped, he restructured from scratch, new routes, new contacts, new methods. Authorities discovered tunnels constantly. The response wasn't to abandon the method, but to multiply it. For every tunnel discovered, 3 more were built in different locations. Adaptation through redundancy. Internal competition also forced evolution. Other cartels copied methods, fought for territories, and infiltrated organizations. El Chapo responded by diversifying methods. Semi-submersible submarines that transported tons underwater, clandestine planes, shipments hidden in illegal products. But adaptability has limits when the fundamental model is unsustainable. Each escape, each reinvention was temporary. Authorities learned, improved surveillance technology, and infiltrated organizations more deeply. The pressure became unsustainable. The final capture led to immediate extradition to the United States. Trial in 2019. Sentence, life imprisonment plus 30 years, without possibility of escape. The model based on evasion reached its structural limit. His organization continues operating in a fragmented way, but without centralized leadership, operational efficiency collapsed. Individual adaptability doesn't guarantee organizational survival when the entire system is illegal. Bezos, evolution from bookstore to global ecosystem. Amazon began selling books exclusively. In 1998, it added music and videos. In 1999, electronics and toys. By 2000, it was the everything store. Constant catalog evolution. But the real adaptability occurred in 2006, launch of Amazon Web Services. The server infrastructure built to support its own operations became a sellable product. Today, AWS generates more than 60% of Amazon's operating profits. This diversification wasn't accidental. Bezos designed Amazon as an adaptable platform, not as a fixed store. Each new category, each new service tested the thesis. Logistics and technological infrastructure can be applied to any market. Competition also forced evolution. Walmart invested billions in e-commerce. Alibaba dominated Asia. Amazon responded by expanding globally, buying Whole Foods to enter physical groceries, developing its own devices like Kindle and Alexa. During the 2020 pandemic, when physical stores collapsed, Amazon scaled operations dramatically. It hired more than 400,000 employees that year. It doubled logistics capacity. The adaptable infrastructure allowed it to absorb explosive demand. In 2021, Bezos left the CEO position, but Amazon continues evolving. Drone deliveries in pilot phase, online pharmacies, expansion in entertainment with Prime Video. The model doesn't depend on one person. It depends on a culture of continuous adaptation, adaptability as survival. One adapted to evade until evasion became impossible. The other adapted to multiply without apparent limits. The difference, sustainability of the fundamental model. Section 8. Results and legacy. El Chapo. Dismantled empire, recognized innovation. On July 11, 2019, Joaquin Guzmán was sentenced to life imprisonment plus 30 years in a federal court in New York. He serves his sentence at ADX Florence, Colorado, the maximum security prison known as Alcatraz of the Rockies. Permanent isolation, without possibility of escape. His organization, the Sinaloa Cartel, continues operating but fragmented. El Chapo's sons, known as Los Chapitos, control factions. Other leaders control others. The operational cohesion that existed under his centralized leadership collapsed. Internal wars, continuous captures, increased violence. U.S. authorities estimate that his organization moved more than $12 billion during decades of operation. But that wealth didn't build a sustainable legacy. It was confiscated, hidden, fought over by successors. It didn't generate institutions, legal employment, or regional development. The tangible legacy is destruction. Tens of thousands dead from related violence, devastated communities, deep institutional corruption, disintegrated families. Sinaloa and other regions continue paying the cost of decades of illicit operation. However, even authorities recognize the logistics innovation. DEA agents have publicly declared that El Chapo's tunnels were masterpieces of engineering. Prosecutors admitted during the trial that his operational capacity was unprecedented. Innovation applied to the wrong side of the law. Documentaries, series, books perpetuate his figure, but romanticizing doesn't change the result. A man in life imprisonment, a fragmented organization, an unsustainable model that inevitably collapsed. Bezos. Global transformation and persistent controversy. Jeff Bezos resigned as CEO of Amazon in July 2021. The company he founded in a garage is worth more than $1 trillion. It employs more than 1,500,000 people globally. It processes 40% of U.S. e-commerce. Amazon transformed global expectations about commerce. Before Prime, waiting a week for a product was normal. Today, 2 days seems slow. This transformation wasn't advertising. It was real infrastructure built over decades. The economic impact is massive. Millions of small businesses sell on its platform. Developers build on AWS. Consumers access products impossible to get locally. Bezos built an ecosystem, not just a company. But the legacy includes significant controversy. Criticism about working conditions in distribution centers persists. Investigations into anti-competitive practices continue. Debates about concentrated corporate power are constant. Amazon is simultaneously admired and questioned. Bezos personally accumulated historic wealth, more than $150 billion. He invests in space exploration with Blue Origin, climate philanthropy, and the media. His wealth generates debates about inequality, taxes, and corporate responsibility. The operational legacy is undeniable. He revolutionized logistics, commerce, and cloud computing. He built infrastructure that will continue operating for decades. He created a replicable and sustainable model based on constant innovation within legal frameworks. 2 legacies, 1 lesson. Both mastered logistics in ways that transformed their industries. One left destruction and a cell. The other, an empire that continues multiplying. Strategy without legal sustainability has an inevitable expiration date. 2 logistics empires, opposite results. One built tunnels to evade. The other, distribution centers to dominate. Both understood that logistics isn't an operational detail. It's the entire business. The lesson isn't to romanticize the illicit. It's to recognize that strategic innovation can be applied to any industry. Speed, precision, infrastructure, adaptability. These principles work on both sides of the law, but only one built something sustainable. Only one multiplied impact without destroying in the process. In business, as in life, the strategy you choose defines your legacy. If this analysis provided you with something, subscribe to the channel. Leave your opinion in the comments. What other strategic comparisons would you like to see? Turn on the bell so you don't miss the next video. See you in the next analysis.